Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, Agnes Goodwine, and welcome, Tribes. Today, we have Kevin Veal with us today. He is going to talk to us about Work Through Frustration Playbook that he put together last year, right, Kevin?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so welcome to Level Up Tribes podcast. I'm so happy to have you. Take it away. Tell us about your journey and what made you write this motivational playbook.
Cool. Once again, thank you just for having me in. It's definitely a pleasure. It's definitely not anything that I get used to telling my story. When you have to be transparent and a person want to hear your story, regardless on, how dark you think it may be or how great it may be. Sometimes it just don't feel good just sharing your story. But it definitely, it feels good to be able to now feel free to share my story, because I do feel with my story, somebody will find hope.
Yes, absolutely.
Within my story, to where I can get more comfortable and more excited telling my story. So thank you for allowing me to tell my story.
Yes. I can't wait to hear it. I think it is very motivational what you've done with yourself in the past couple of years, right? This life, that's what it's all about. It's about leveling up. It's about growing. You're not who you used to be. You're not the person you were an hour ago. So we continue to grow and learn. And so that's what life is all about. So yes, tell your story. You can impact, if you can just impact one person, right? We talked about this. That's enough.
Yeah.
So my brother, take it away.
Well, sweet. Like I said, I am Kevin Veal. I am the founder and the creator of Inspire All. I'm also the figurehead behind the acronyms WTF. Now, WTF being like the one that first kickstarted me with tapping into hearing from God or my higher power. It started with me, seeing only seeing WTF as, what the F.
Right.
For a lot of years, I only seen that. I didn't see nothing else but what the F.
Right.
Almost every situation, from getting married at a young age, from having kids with no understanding. It was just like WTF all the time.
Yes.
But to be honest with you, Miss Agnes, it wasn't until I went to prison where I had time to really just not only be incarcerated naturally, but spiritually incarcerate my mind to now hear from the judge that really matters. Understand, really how long God is sentencing me, and what's the conditions from my sentence that God has put on my life.
When did you go to jail?
2014.
Okay, and you served for how long?
Like 28 months.
28 months, okay.
Yeah, 28 months. And through those 28 months, just experiencing what not too many people would experience, hell on earth, where you're around people who just lost their mind, who don't have a relationship with God, who was never brought to where their mind is all over the place, and evil is definitely within them. Yeah. So just for me, it was more understanding exactly like, God, what are you calling me to do after I get out? Because I know I was only doing 28 months. So I knew I had an out date. Through that out date, it gave me hope. So through that time, I just had opportunities to say, God, like, what are you calling me to do?
Right.
God, what is this? Like, after release, because right now I'm not sure. So I really just started writing down like WTF. And the first one, that's when he told me I got Work Through Frustrations. And through that, I pondered on it. I thought about it. I'm like, wow, that makes so much. And so through those three letters, I heard the calling from God. And the assignment was just for me to work through my frustration. So from there, I started writing other acronyms. And one is being one I have on my shirt too, because I'm like, I want to be a boss.
Yes. And boss, for those that are listening, stands for what?
Build others spiritually strong.
That's nice.
That became the assignment. Yeah, that became the assignment that I realized that God is really calling me to fulfill.
Let's take it back a little bit, Kevin. Okay. So you were born in Louisiana,
Correct, I was.
right?
Or New Orleans. Yeah,
New
Louisiana,
Orleans.
but let's say New Orleans, Louisiana. Yes.
Okay. Is it New Orleans or New Orleans? Correct me.
For a native, it's New Orleans. For anybody outside of New Orleans, it's New Orleans.
Okay. All right.
You know.
We had the discussion about New Orleans. And if you know New Orleans, you know how hard it is living there, right? Especially as a Black man.
Yes.
How was your upbringing?
So upbringing, I kind of a Black privileged life. Well, my mom was in the military. She was in the Coast Guard.
Nice.
So I had an opportunity to kind of experience like discipline and stability amongst a woman or just amongst any human being, period. So I had an opportunity to be close to that. My dad, he was a Rolling Stone, as they would call him.
Right.
So my dad was, not to say too much bad about my dad, he was just lost, just as a lot of, especially Black men in that city, they're lost. But I had the advantage of having my dad parents being very stable and successful, individuals, to where my grandfather held a elected official seat. He was the superintendent of RTA, which is Regional Transit Authority. That's the bus lines, the streetcars. So he was over that for about 30-something years. He retired right after Katrina. Opportunity just to experience stability with him on that side. So just being with grandparents and mom. So I really kind of had like a Black privileged life, but I still grew up in the hood. And through that it was definitely difficult, because when all you see is wrong, it's kind of hard to understand what's right. And so that's just, one bad negative aspect of my city as far as being a native, because you have to make a give.
Yeah, and you talk about in the book that you tried out to play in the NFL, and you even made it to the rookie camp for the Redskins. Tell me about that experience. How was that?
It was pretty cool. I had a pretty rocky football career. I originally signed out of high school with Tulane University, but didn't have the grades, so I ended up going to a junior college to do 2 years. And right when it was time for me to transfer to NCAA Division I, back to Tulane University, Hurricane Katrina hit. So through Hurricane Katrina, I had to evacuate. End up making it to Ohio, where I transferred to Ohio State.
Okay.
So my journey was it wasn't traditional. It wasn't the traditional route, but I made it. So I got picked up as an undrafted free agent by the Washington Redskins. It was actually the last year of Joe Gibbs. So through that opportunity, it made me realize exactly, is this something that, I want to do, or God, is this, something that you want me to do? Because I couldn't imagine being here, and I don't think I was prepared to be on that level. But the best part about being on that level is to tell everybody that I made it to this level.
Yeah.
And I think that was the addiction, even when I wasn't no longer on that level. For some reason, I still was telling people I'm on that level. So, so I think that was the hardest breakup, was not being able to say that I'm on that level. So that was the hardest breakup. But
what year was this? When did this happen?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah, 2006. So NFL for me ended up staying for not for long. It was short-lived, and again, it was what made me realize the difference between passion and purpose.
Okay, elaborate a little bit more on that.
Ooh, I thought you never asked. That was the darkest time. So just growing up, I only had passion to play football. I only disciplined and trained to be good and great at football. And once that window of opportunity kind of closed, as an adult, it was kind of hard to transition and say, okay, well, now you have to sustain and take care of your family you created. Well, what are you going to do now? What do you have the work ethic and discipline and a passion to do now? And that was a real dark season for me, is to find like that, what's next? Like, what is it that I have passion for? Like, what is my other gift outside of my athletic, outside of my body? And that was that was the hardest time, because it was hard to recognize the gift as an adult when nobody's not praising you and saying you're good. Right.
And so really that's where WTF actually was born, right? The original WTF, right?
Exactly.
Between 2006 and what you said, 2014, that WTF, what the fuck, right? Moment. That's what's brewing, the frustrations of where am I headed, what I'm going to do. And do you think, is that what caused the path of you being incarcerated?
Correct. So I actually, the sole reason was child support. And just making a key, just being irresponsible, lost.
Yeah.
In my WTF moment, in my what the fuck moment, doing things consciously, not thinking about, like the what's next.
Right.
Just lost and, living, started living a lie. Once again, I wasn't telling nobody that I wasn't on that level no more. I didn't want to accept the harsh reality that, I'm the same. I always wanted to come off as if I'm different. So it started to look like if football wasn't what I was good at, maybe I'm good at dating girls and getting girls. And
Yeah.
that became that season because I didn't know how to sustain myself. So I had to pretty much just fake it till I make it. And that was that what the F moment. To where I had to realize, like, yeah, I was sentenced for another offense, but I had to realize, like, God, like, why are you sentencing me? And I had to realize the spiritual sentence behind the message. And it really was WTF to help the next generation.
Right. I really like the sound of spiritual sentence. I can totally see you writing a book just with that title.
I like it.
Note to self, right, Kevin?
Gotta give you credit.
Spiritual sentence. Oh man, a lot of healing can come out of that book right there.
Amen.
All by itself.
Amen.
We always, some of us, right, we have this idea of what we want our life to be and we picture it and we just have kind of plan A, but we don't have plan B, C, or D. You know what I mean? And at some point it's okay because we, like we spoke before, like we never stop growing, right? Your life can hit and be wonderful at 40, 50, right? Who's to say that it has to be perfect in your 30s? So let's go back to the journal. And you talk about the types of frustrations here, the internal frustration, the external. Can you elaborate more on the external frustration?
So so internal frustrations is, let's just equate it to a natural understanding. Let's just call those self-inflicted injuries, because I had to equate my internal frustrations to something that I caused on my own. I couldn't blame anybody else. So I called them self-inflicted injuries. And those are the ones that you can control, because all you have to do is change your mindset. And I do talk about how the process to change your mindset. But to answer your question, that's self-inflicted. That's something that you can't control. You can heal from.
Right. And then the external ones is like workplace, home, outside. And one thing I do like about it is that you leave notes and you ask the readers to kind of self-reflect and to write down about their own frustrations, internal frustrations. And, a lot of times we walk around, we're mad and we don't really know why.
Don't know why. Yeah, don't know why.
I think you did a wonderful job. I mean, you go deep. Chapter 5 to me was, this one was good because it talks about frustration in the workplace. I think this is a big one for anybody. Lack of communication, job insecurity. I mean, this is everything that we deal on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly. Those are those WTF moments that and to be honest with you, the inspiration behind the WTF playbook, being in prison, taking programs that they almost mandate you taking for your sentence, and just seeing the content that was in those programs or their curriculum, I realized it wasn't culture competent. And just realizing when you, so the guys wasn't really connecting. They kind of, I was watching the reactions. They kind of seen it as a punishment. They wasn't too engaged because you can tell it was written from somebody who never experienced what the guys are experiencing. So I had an opportunity just to tap in and almost write a program, or what I call the playbook, that a guy in prison, even if he have life, he can send his home to his kids if he have kids, and show his kids the way he think or his thoughts on how he worked through frustrations. So where if he have life, regardless if he can't be close to his kids or his grandkids, they can know the way he think, and they can pass it down to their kids' kids. So it was for me just to really create a playbook originally for kids who are being raised fatherless.
Yes.
Because of an incarcerated individual who can't give them the playbook of life because they're incarcerated. And that's where the inspiration behind this came from.
Bring this book to the prison system?
This is my first Zoom. So thank you. I'm going to be able to put this in my archives and realize when I date back, where did I start talking about the book from? So yeah, that is my ultimate goal, is to help reduce recidivism.
Okay.
Is to help reduce the guys or offenders who reoffend, because, let's be honest, who taught you how to work through your WTF moments?
Right.
And nobody can teach you about working out or working through something that never existed,
Right. But what's most important though, Kevin, is hearing it from someone who actually went through it. If I want to change, I'm going to listen to someone, and I want someone to coach me who has been there, just like I have.
Amen. And that's what and that's how I feel too. And what I call, like I said, that word culture competent.
Right.
It's kind of hard to receive therapy from somebody who is not competent on your culture.
Yes.
And who can't relate to you. Like you look at things from a natural perspective and a spiritual perspective. This person is only giving you, advice from a medical perspective. And you're like, I'm kind of leveled up from that thinking. I need somebody who can relate to the way I do see how it goes now.
Also talk about thinking positive, right?
Correct.
You touch on, having a gratitude diary, and that's so important. Making sure you open yourself to humor, spending time with positive people. I mean, you kind of just go on and about things people can do to just uplift themselves, finding that joy in their lives. Because if not, you're going to get stuck in that negative thinking pattern all the time.
Correct. And not to cut you off, Ms. Agnes.
No, go ahead.
But while I was sitting down in prison, I'm telling you, just knowing the difference between choosing what you want to do in life versus hearing from God on which He's calling you to do in your life, that's your purpose. But a lot of times when we should be in a place of rest, we end up being in a place of wrestling with the voices, because we don't know how to discern those two voices. So right. I think now is like, just hearing the voice of God is saying, I'm calling you to help my children work through their what the fuck moments. Right. You like, man, God don't cuss them like shit. Your person that He talked to you in relatable to your personality. He knows what you can relate to. And that's what He wanted me to do. He's like, Kevin, I need you to relate to my kids and meet them where they're at. Naturally, meet them at their what the fuck moments.
Yes.
But I'm going to give you the wisdom to help guide them so they can work through their frustrations. So even when I just look back on, on what I created, I'm like, wow, I really created like the universal Bible for the next generation. Right. And that's the thing too, the next generation, they're not seeking organized religion. Right. So how do you teach them how to work through spiritual warfare? You got to teach them how to work through their what the fuck moments. Right. And identify their frustrations. Yeah. How to think, because that's the natural that becomes spiritual. And you have to meet them naturally. And that's what I feel like God has given me the wisdom to create a playbook that could meet his kids naturally at their what the fuck moments.
I agree with you. What is the one thing you would like to see the readers walk away with when they read your book?
Changing their mindset. That's the first. The first. I want the readers to be able to feel like, you know what? I no longer think the same way that I think, because my response and my reaction is totally different now. I know how to react to certain, things that I made a big deal. I processed, the problem and analyzed it, and I realized this is a internal frustration. I can control this one. I'm not going to be mad today. Right. So just knowing the difference between an internal, external, it makes a difference in your response. It makes a difference on how you feel, like how you sleep at night, because you realize, can I change the way I feel, or is it something that's beyond my control? And when you just realize, hey, you do a risk assessment, you sleep better. And I want this book to be able to help those individuals who tap into it. Let this book be a solution of sleeping and having a peaceful night's rest.
Yes.
Because it's important. Because a lot of times when you're frustrated, you're not sleeping. When you don't understand how to deal with your what the fuck moments appropriately, those what the fuck moments get the best of you, and you just stay right there. You get stuck right there, and you never start working through anything. You just stay frustrated. And that becomes a dark place. So
you have to let that out. Like we talked before, you don't let those feelings out. Feelings, they get stuck in your body. You get sick. You get depressed. You got to let that out. Whether it's writing, which you provide in the book. People can write their story, their feelings. So, what do you think is next for you? Like, do you have any projects in the works?
Yes. So now, what I'm doing now, knowing that kids are back in school.
Yeah.
I am putting together a WTF summit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a summit I'm going to reach those adolescents, and I am now in contact with management for a couple of social media viral stars, and creating a platform to where do like a school tour, just in the East Valley, to where we could bring these these celebrities, but give kids opportunity to talk about their WTF moments.
Okay.
Do a Q&A session so they can understand that they're not alone. And now that we are here to help them work through their WTF moments and guide them through this journey. So that's what I'm doing now, is actually working on a WTF summit, a four school tour.
Okay.
Where we just, help kids just get back to normality from everything that's going on and getting ready to get back focused. What I want to do is give them a way to help redirect and reshape their thoughts to where they can think and respond differently. And I think that's
how I love the idea. There's so many schools here, and even the schools at the reservations too.
Yeah, so I'm just familiar with myself now and just being able to connect with those people. So if you or your listeners have any principals, any founders of organizations that would like for me to bring this WTF summit and tour to their school, to where we can allow kids to express their WTF moment and let them know that it's okay to have a WTF moment, but just have those people in place who can help them work through frustrations. And their job now becomes to be the boss, to build them spiritually strong.
I love it.
If we don't give the kids wisdom, we're mad at them for having the thoughts that they have and react and respond when they properly wasn't given a playbook on how to respond to it.
True.
So it's like, who do we blame if we really properly haven't put the kids out into the world, into the workplace the right way? Just because they went to college don't mean that we taught them how to work through adversities and persevere. And, we didn't teach them that. So now, guess what? The WTF Playbook exists.
Where can people order the book, Kevin?
So right now, to be honest with you, I'm in limbo. I do have inspireall.shop, where I do have merchandise like WTF shirts, boss shirts that you can buy, just working on some back office stuff. So my website is under construction, the WTF Playbook, but it is WTFplaybook.com. So
can people email you?
Sweet. So my email address is WTFinspireall@gmail.com. So that's WTFinspireall@gmail.com.
Okay. And if anyone is listening and you're in the Valley here in Phoenix and you know of any principals or schools that would like Kevin to come in and talk to the kids about the playbook, just hit him up.
Please do. Please do. And I say, once again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Just to shed the light that nobody's eliminated. We all have WTF moments that we go through that sometimes we don't know how to turn a negative into a positive because it seems too bad. It seems too personal to where if we don't have somebody or we haven't been trained to look at this problem differently, we're just going to look at it as a problem. And I will sound that there's hope. The WTF Playbook now exists, and now you can learn some coping skills. You can learn how to just look at a problem differently, and learn those skills that it takes to actually become a boss. Yes. So you can help someone else who's going through a WTF moment that you once went through.
Exactly. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And I cannot wait to see what else comes from you, Kevin. I see greatness, just greatness.
Amen. 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 So I do want to leave with this. I'll leave the listeners to this. I'm going to drop some gems before I leave, and I'm going to call it free. But in a little bit, you're going to have to pay for it.
Okay.
So one thing I realized, just being in prison, how God will give us messages, but we all have access to hearing through him. And we can hear through him the way that we speak. We don't always have to speak the traditional way, the church way, right? I was cussing that guy, and he was shit. He didn't feel no kind of way when I was saying, what the fuck?
Right.
What the fuck? He was saying, work through frustrations.
Yeah.
I was saying, I won't be a boss. He was saying, well, build others spiritually strong. I was saying, shoot, I'm the OG. He was saying, well, if you the OG, I'm only God, so follow me. I was saying, well, I'm going through these WTF moments. I'm working through my frustrations. I heard you. What's next? He said, well, wait, think, and figure it out. So after I had to wait, think, figure it out, then I had to wait, think, and I had to feel what I was thinking, had to feel if it felt good. And through that, I had to learn to work through my frustrations. And after you work through it, I had to realize that doors open, walk towards favor. So now I'm in a season of not only am I still working through it, but I'm walking towards the favorable situation, the favor of God, because I'm on an assignment that I'm here to encourage the world to work through frustrations. I'm connected with them. So I'm on a call. I'm on assignment, and it's a calling from my higher power.
Oh, I love it.
So, like you said, I had to go through a spiritual sentence to understand naturally what I'm supposed to do.
Ooh, that's the opening of the book, the second book. By the time we're done, we're going to write that book.
Right, exactly. Look, it's already written right now. We just got to do the paperwork.
Right. Oh, man. Well, it's been a pleasure connecting with you. We've connected offline for a few weeks now. And yes, thank you for coming on the show. I can't wait for my listeners to get to know you, Kevin, your story. More details about Kevin's life is in the Work Through Your Frustrations playbook. And if you're interested in purchasing, and I hope that you are, email him, and I'll provide your email in the show notes when I post the episode. I'll provide your emails there. So yes, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, and any listeners that's listening, if you do purchase a book, just because you're listening, I will provide a discount, and I will provide like I said, 25% discount.
Right now.
And you have to also mention where you heard me mention the WTF playbook, or where you heard the WTF playbook being mentioned. And that's how we honor your discount.
Oh, I like it, Kevin. Sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.